What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the post-game stream to one of the wildest finishes you will ever see. Not even just for the Baltimore Ravens, but in the NFL in general. Down 16 in the fourth quarter. I mean, the way that this game looked, it seemed like this was one of those games where it was just absolutely out of hand for the Ravens. They couldn't do anything on offense. They couldn't run the ball. Lamar was throwing the ball decently, but all of a sudden, Hollywood hits that double move.
Yep.
There that team went. I tweeted out right when Hollywood scored. Let's see here. Let me look at my recent tweets. I kind of want to just go over them just for the emotion. All I say is and here we come. That's what I said. So when I tweeted, right when I saw that, I was like, you know what? That's a spark. And welcome in everybody into the chat. I see all these comments. I see we got Yizak Jimenez, very excited. Shane says, I don't even know what to say. This was so freaking wild, ugly, unbelievable, awesome, etc. LJ Andrews and Hollywood were so clutch tonight. Much love to all the Flock Nation. Passing out. And See the Beast, I did see that. See the Beast said Lamar Jackson going for 400 yards. You talked about it, Joshua. You said about 350 or 400 and 150 yards. You know what? You got the total right. You got
350, 400. Yeah, most definitely.
And you know what? Unfortunately, the Ravens didn't rush for 100 yards. That does not matter. That doesn't matter.
Okay, y'all can have that right now.
Lee Peters says, I'll never doubt LJ again. Brock says, where's all that Lamar can't pass BS right now? That's what we were saying. That's what Joshua and I have been saying this year and we talked about it in the last stream. All of a sudden, it's the passing game setting up the run. And this game, the Colts said, you know what? You're going to beat us by the pass. And the Ravens in the first half were not trying to do it. They were passing the ball. Lamar Jackson was, I want to say, 15 for 19 with 178 or 180 yards passing.
Yeah,
at one point. And it was like
it was like 8 for 11, like 107, 108, something like that. And then you feel me, second half he took over. It was like 18 for 31, then the 331 yards.
Absolutely. And I want to apologize to everybody. I want to apologize. Make it be known. I am sorry that in the pregame presser or the pregame show, you know what I said? Bringing the mic out. Calais Campbell doesn't make big plays. He's not going to do that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Calais Campbell.
The big dog showed up. The vets definitely showed up. I love what they.
You know who didn't show up? Okay. Yeah, we can talk about Anthony Avery. Tavon Young. Okay. Is Tavon Young cut before practice? Like, what that is a John Harbaugh insta cut right there if I've ever seen one.
I would honestly be trying to talk to New England to find out how I can get Sean Wade back because literally, I get it, height and moment, but at the same time, it's like, dude, we're literally right there. Don't do no stupid. This is what happens in the game. Dumb stuff happens. You know, everybody's going to talk smack in the trenches. Everybody's going to get a punch here and there. Yo, get it in the next play. This is the fourth quarter. I can see it was like the first quarter, but this is fourth. I think it was under 3 minutes.
This was with 20 seconds left. This
worse.
gave them, it was, I believe, going to be 3rd and 10 with 20 seconds left.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to go through the play-by-play just so I have the exact stuff. We got to scroll to the bottom. So here we go. 18 seconds left in the game. 2nd and 20. Carson Wentz passed short right to Zach Pascal for 2 yards on the screen pass. Unnecessary roughness. It would have been 3rd and 18 at the Indianapolis 36-yard line. And he comes in there and throws a punch or shoves the helmet or, you know, whatever exactly he did, which was an obvious penalty. It's a fine call by the officials. And people are going to say, oh, but Doyle threw the thing. I don't care if he went up there, pulled your pants down, and spanked you. You do not throw the punch in a game like that.
Everybody know how it is growing up. It's not going to be the first person that throw the punch to get caught. It's always the second person. How? Yeah. Even when it comes to Maryland laws, it's not about, if someone attacks you, if you retaliate 9 times out of 10, we're not in Maryland, you're not safe. Pretty much, it's always about the retaliation.
Yeah, and Void says down 19 and 1. I think that's one of the biggest things is
we just talked about
this whole
that.
team is the Ravens were known as a team that couldn't come from behind.
Talked about that in the pregame.
And all of a sudden, this team has changed. This is a big play, explosive offense that needs to move the ball down the field. And they didn't do that at all until they were down by too much, it seemed like. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, let's. And I loved how they did it. They waited to get Hollywood on that double move. Mm-hmm. They hit him with that double move and it worked. But that was just something where you look at it like they did not run the ball until they got into, I think, inside the 15-yard line in that overtime drive. Agreed. That is the type of adjustment that Greg Roman needs to make more consistently. When something isn't working or when something is working very well, utilize it. And he recognized this zone defense is getting cooked. Mark Andrews over the middle is absolutely flaming. And I also want to give a shout out. I had I missed out on a nasty fantasy football comeback last night because I had Dawson Knox. I was down by 35 points. I had Dawson Knox and the Bills kicker. I come back. I took the lead, and in the final 2 minutes, Emmanuel Sanders scored. I lost that one. This week, I was down by over 40 points going into the week. He had nobody left. I had Mark Andrews in the Baltimore Ravens defense, and blocking that kick and Mark Andrews getting that last touchdown put me ahead. Nice. So shout out to Mark I was 0-3 in that fantasy league. Now I'm 2-3. So thank you. That league was almost lost. I'm excited for fantasy basketball. My draft is tomorrow. Very excited for that. But let's see here. And Jimenez brings it up. Rashad Bateman is coming back. And this is the passing attack that we have. Because it may seem like I got a text, and Lamar, I didn't think Lamar was playing that well in the first half, even though he was completing a high percentage. I felt like, he was waiting in the run game. He was making a lot of mistakes.
I was about to say that he seemed a little bit more timid,
Yeah, very timid. And it was still completing well. And I was like, you know what? It may look good on the stat sheet. I felt like he's not playing amazing. The second half, obviously, different story. If you throw 43 passes and complete 37 of them, let alone for 442 yards and 4 touchdowns, but just completing that many passes is amazing. I mean, that is something that you look at like nobody does that. I hope that they come out with a statistic. I feel like they will come out with a statistic. Somebody will, ESPN Stats or PFF. They'll come out with a statistic. Most or highest completion percentage by any quarterback with at least 40 passes in a game. I'm actually going to look it up right now.
Man. Listen, y'all. It's I don't know what to say. It was funny because my mom, she always watched the games with me, and she's going out the first quarter. I said, listen, it's the first quarter. Relax. You know how this goes. And shout out to Lamar, because before we went to OT, they was doing the MVP chant. He's like, hey, quiet down. It's like we still got work to do. He's on a total, just seeing a guy like that, he's on a total different level. His mindset is definitely for this team. He's literally, I'll say this. I know we talked about, those leaders, those boisterous attitudes and stuff like that. Those guys that's always speaking out, like Ray Lewis. But sometimes those quiet demeanor type of guys, we've seen it as he's gotten comfortable, he's always, pat the guys on the back, show love, defense, offense, he knows how to put, the pressure on his shoulders, and he always rises to the occasion. I love that.
This is a great stat right there.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Great stat.
I'll take that. Add it to his repertoire. Because seeing how this young man keeps continually progressing, he's going to continue to get better.
Absolutely. And something I want to add in the pregame show, my pregame prediction was Hollywood 7 receptions, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, one of them a big play. He finished with 9 receptions, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns. One of them a big touchdown.
Damn,
and I see that somebody said we called the away forced fumble. Oh, yeah. Odafe Owe, I mean, I think he's by far got to be the leader for Defensive Rookie of the Year just because the moments that he's been seen, Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs, comes up, basically gives the Ravens an opportunity. In this game, I mean, if they don't get that fumble, like the Colts were running all over this team, all over them. And for him to get the forced fumble on Carson Wentz, like, yeah, it didn't result. It may have resulted in a field goal. I can't remember if the Ravens got points off of that drive, but it helped slow the attack because when an offense is rolling like the Colts offense was in the first half, honestly, the first 3 quarters, honestly, the entire game except for the final drive of the game that they had, honestly, even that final drive, the offense was rolling. The kicker just missed. The Ravens couldn't stop him except for one play by Odafe Owe. And that is a consistency with him.
Absolutely, because they definitely was working that deep crossing route, and you know what? I'll give it to Indianapolis because you had a rookie safety, and you had Anthony Averett, and y'all wide receivers are over 6'2". So I say this: I give teams their respect when they see weaknesses, chinks in the armor, and they exploit it because that's exactly what Indianapolis did tonight. But like we said in the pregame, we had to come off a little. We got to come off a little faster, a little harder, and stronger when it comes to this offensive side of the ball, and even this defensive side of the ball, because we can't keep playing games like this. Because once we come across the right team, they're going to keep their foot on our necks, and we won't be able to make a comeback like we did tonight.
Oh yeah, and one of the biggest things that I think is going to come out of this game is I talked about in the pregame, the narrative in the MVP.
Yeah.
What happens in this game? And Joshua, you mentioned on it, Lamar Jackson running up. He's getting the MVP chance. What did he say?
Shut it down.
No.
Yeah, we got some more to do.
Let's finish this up. And that's been the Ravens' entire mantra. I mean, that is the identity of this Ravens team. Is they aren't about one game. It's not about one drive. Yeah, he said it. It's not about what you've done. It's about what you do next. The next game. He was all about that next play. And he comes out there, throws the strike to Hollywood. Anyway, I wonder how many points I put up in fantasy in the league that I started Hollywood in, because Hollywood also played well. I put up 175 with Hollywood. Let's go. How many points he put up for me? Oh, he gave me 31. Nice. Let's go. Love to see that. But, I mean, just one of the biggest things that the Ravens come out of this game is the narrative. I feel like this and John Gruden are going to be what every talk show. And sorry, the camera's like not focusing on me. I don't know why it is. Hold on. I'm going to stop the camera, turn it back on. I don't know why it's not focusing on me. I'll get up closer. But, yeah, with this entire comeback, the way Lamar played, it's going to help that narrative, and everybody's going to be talking about it. It's not going to be talking about Lamar Jackson choked, Lamar Jackson couldn't get it done, because that's what, if the Ravens lose this game, even if Lamar finishes with 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, but they don't get that 2-point conversion, Lamar couldn't do it. He couldn't get it done. He just came out flat. But since he won, he's going to get those narratives, and I guarantee Coward, Stephen A., Shannon, Skip,
they're going to go off the ball.
Carter, trying to remember all the other shows. Good Morning Football, Schrager and Kay Adams, everybody on Good Morning Football. They're going to be talking about the Ravens. And I'm going to turn this off for a second just so that I can, hopefully it'll, refocus on me. But
so let me ask you this. Now, that fumble, me personally, I felt like it should have been reversed. His knee was down. I saw the knee down, and then as his knee was already down, then the ball finally came out. Do you feel like that should have been a reverse?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't know. Sorry about the camera, guys. You know what? I'm just going to back up all the way into the wall, leaning on my chair. If I fall out and die, Oh, well, I'll die a happy man. Never mind. It's worse if I back up. I can't change the settings while we're streaming. But I feel like when it's that close, you got to stay with the call on the field. However, when I was watching it, I was like, I wonder if it was a forward pass, but they never showed the replay until like they already reversed it. If it was a forward pass, that was massive, it being a forward pass.
Yeah.
But I felt like, what did I say was the key for the Ravens winning in the opener? Tackle. What happens on the third play of the game or whatever?
JT. 70, what is it, 75, 79 yards? Pass?
It was 70 yards with one of the worst pursuit angles I've ever seen by a team on a single play. It just didn't look pretty at all. And the Ravens bit the bullet. And that mistake right there by Chuck Clark hitting Jimmy Smith, that hurt them. It was mistakes in the first half. Anthony Averett, not only, yes, it's okay, Anthony Averett gave up the pass interference, whatever. It was the problem I had with it. He realizes he commits the pass interference. So what does he do? He puts his arm up and drops his legs out and falls flat on his face with his arms up. Rather than, like, if you know you've commit pass interference, hold on to that guy. It's like in basketball, if you know you're going to foul a guy on a layup,
see it all the way
take
first.
his arm out. Like, don't give him some soft tap. Like, no, you got to make sure he doesn't get you. So he's there falling and not trying to tackle Michael Pittman. And Marlon's like trying to get around Anthony Averett because Anthony Averett's falling on his face. And that allows Michael Pittman to score. That's one of the biggest things. I was just like, dude, that's just an extra mistake on top of the mistake. But an underthrown ball is difficult to cover. It was just all game long.
That deep crossing route, man. They was working it. Between Pittman, Pascal, Campbell, they definitely was making their money on the left side. And the bad thing about it is we've been talking about it. Yeah, we definitely did. We've been talking about, is he the one to replace Marcus Peters? I didn't never agree with that. I definitely feel like, he was showing progression. But tonight he showed back to that old Anthony Averett. He definitely did. And I mean, that's not good, going against Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, somebody that we've been talking about, all off season that could have been, a potential upgrade, not potential, a big upgrade to the wide receiver room.
And I see this is a great comment from Mark Horton right here. It says, I don't know why, but it is a pattern of a lot of great teams to play down to competition and make insane comebacks. We're really watching this team mature. Yes, the Colts are not a bad team. They're better than the record suggests. However, they do really counter what the Ravens do well, which is the Ravens like to run the ball. Colts very good at in reducing yardage, and then they run the ball well. But I remember after the Ravens came back against I can't remember who the Lions. And I believe the announcer said something like, it's a staple of really good teams when they start slow, when they're down, to actually come back. And that's what separates the good teams from the great teams. And the Ravens in recent years haven't been that team that's been coming back. Now, obviously, they haven't had many opportunities, but we've seen them try. Playoff game against the Chargers. The Ravens almost came back. Mm-hmm. Joey Bosa gets the strip sack on Lamar. Titans game, Ravens try and come back in the playoffs. Titans game. End of the half, the Ravens don't get the field goal. They can't score. They can't capitalize. They end up losing. All of a sudden, it's becoming a team where they are still able to squeak out wins. And being able to win, I talked about it. In the NFL, you're going to have 4 amazing weeks a year. You're going to have 8. Well, this isn't a typical 16, so maybe it's 9 regular games. But it's going to be 4 amazing games your team plays. You're going to play 4 or 8 really solid games. And now in this case, you're going to play 9 really solid games because they're in the middle. But you're going to play 4 bad games of football. How do you negate those 4 bad games of football? That's why the Patriots were always so good under Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, because they knew that they could still win those bad games that they played. They'd come out, they looked sluggish against the Bills. They'd still win. And the Ravens have already had 2 bad games, in my opinion.
Yep.
Colts game and the Lions game. I think the Raiders game, I don't think that was a bad game. I felt like that was an average game. The Raiders played their great game. Ravens had a couple of miscues, but this game, there were so many mistakes, so many missed opportunities, but they were still able to squeak it out. That's the sign of a team that can do something. Because the Ravens being able to turn it up, they didn't turn it up in Buffalo. Lamar got hurt. They couldn't capitalize. Tyler Huntley misses Marquise Brown deep. This is a team that is capitalizing and minimizing mistakes. And now Lamar Jackson is tied for the most games won under 25 as a quarterback. And I'm pretty sure Lamar's birthday's in like January, so
Yeah.
he'll definitely be breaking that record.
That'll be a lot of time. A lot of time.
Oh, yeah. And let's talk about this now. Patrick Queen. It was bad. I mean, I don't think he's had a good game all year.
No, he hasn't.
I mean, he had the preseason game where he made a couple of big tackles. I think he got a sack. He got the tackle on the screen. But we didn't get to see him in normal offense doing normal things. And he's just in coverage. It's not there. Shooting gaps, not there. He tried to tackle. I think it was Jonathan Taylor. I believe they threw a flag on the play. And the play was negated anyway. But he completely missed. Naheem Hines just like completely spun out of his tackle. And Patrick Queen is just clapping his hands. And I couldn't tell if it was clapping hands because he was mad or if it was clapping hands because he was happy that the other guy got the tackle on like second down or whatever it was. But Marlon right after that went up to him. I think Jeff Zrebic tweeted that. He was like, Marlon just went up to Patrick Queen after he missed that tackle. Like, and that shows leadership on the defense from Marlon. And great job by him because Patrick Queen is not tackling. Neither is Malik Harrison.
Yeah.
And that can't happen when you play the Browns. Heck, that can't happen when you play the Colts. We saw what happened. The Colts offense ran over how many? I mean, if you look at play-by-play in the possessions, I'm going to go through it. Every Colts possession. Touchdown, fumble, punt, but they ran a 10-play drive that they punted. 3-and-out punt, field goal, touchdown, field goal, blocked field goal, missed field goal. That was the second half. The second half, every drive they were in a scoring opportunity. Every drive. The Ravens couldn't stop them. They couldn't tackle. They couldn't cover. But the Ravens made some plays. Calais Campbell especially. Tavon Young especially, not especially. But they got to make sure that they can stop teams like the Colts because those are the teams that they're going to be facing that they need to beat. The Steelers with Najee Harris. The Browns with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Yep.
Heck, the Chargers next week with Eckler.
Right.
I mean, Eckler's going to be catching every pass out of the backfield. And if we're taking pursuit angles like we were taking tonight, Eckler's going to be having a big fantasy game. I'm probably starting Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler next week in fantasy. I feel like that's the smartest move for me because the Ravens aren't tackling. May start Keenan Allen as well because Anthony Averett ain't covering either. So I see Colts had more rushing yards than we did. Yeah, but that I mean, the Colts are a really good rushing football team. That's what they are. So, like, them having more yards isn't disappointing. It's the Ravens. The Ravens not rushing for yards. I wasn't that surprised by it. I didn't think the Ravens would go off in yards. I talked about it. I was like, I thought they'd hit 100, but I was like, they'd maybe hit 120. It's going to be a passing day for Baltimore because the Colts front seven is really good. And that's what they take pride in, is stopping the run. And the Ravens defense doesn't stop the run. And so them
no more
outrushing us is not it. But Lance asks, has Rob Ryan affected our linebackers? I don't think so, Because last year, Patrick Queen in pursuit angles and tackling was still a major issue. So I don't think that it's been some negative effect. I don't know if there's been a positive effect. I honestly don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know if he's made much of a difference. Maybe he has, but it's not working. Whatever they're doing, it's not working.
They gotta keep on going back to the basics. It's a shame. Y'all, y'all done made it to the highest point plateau of y'all football careers, and y'all telling me now that y'all getting paid to play a boy sport that y'all can't tackle no more? Come on now. We gotta do something better than this. I mean, hell, when you was the middle linebacker at LSU, you was that guy, you was that man, you was that drill. Malik Harrison, same thing at the Ohio State University. Like, come on now. Y'all known for doing this stuff. It shouldn't be no different when y'all get into the league. I mean, yeah, the guys are bigger, the game is faster. But when we saw in preseason, it showed that the game did slow down for y'all. It showed that that y'all was ready to get out there, and be that that head hunting defense that we know y'all can be. We just need y'all to step up to the plate. Because I said it in the pregame. It seems like it's more the offense taking the load versus the defense, because the defense been getting work the past 5 weeks.
And we talked about that after week 1.
Yeah.
This year is not going to be the same as last year. Like, having slow starts isn't going to work like last year, because last year you have a slow start. Marcus Peters gets a pick. Marlon Humphrey forces a fumble.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, even hate to give him praise, but Justin Houston gets a sack. You get a stop. They're able to get it back. The defense this year is not as good. Anthony Averett allowing receptions. It's not just a couple of guys. They're running the ball down the throat. The Ravens defense can't stop them. Yes, they've made plays. They've forced some fumbles. They've gotten some key sacks. They've done enough so far, but it's going to have to be the offense. And Lamar Jackson came out and said, we don't want to be in these types of games. We want to hit the ground running, because they don't have a defense that they can rely on. Like, everyone's like, oh, wow. Typically when you make a comeback, it's because of the defense. It wasn't the defense. It was Calais Campbell blocking a field goal and Rodrigo Blankenship being hurt and missing a field goal. So, like, you can't rely on that. You got to make sure that you can't come out in future games and put up 3 points in the first half they had back-to-back 3-and-outs to start. Then they had a 5-play drive, a 6-play drive, and then they had their drive. Like, it felt like, again, did you feel like it was just another Greg Roman comes into the game and goes with the let's see what's going to work, but he takes too long? It was so clear that the pass game was doing so much better than the rushing attack.
I told you, man, it's a process of elimination with Greg Roman. And honestly, I'm going to say this as well. Every time I see Latavius Murray get the ball, I get disappointed. He has no... Yes, he's a north and south runner. Yes, we need that type of running back in our offense, but it's just something about him. Like, I like watching Tyson get the ball, because when he gets the ball, we said it before, younger guy, fresher legs, runs harder, doesn't give up. Yeah.
And I want to bring up a couple of things. One, shout out to Broderick Washington. This is from Jeff Zrebick. He tweeted out, Calais Campbell said it was Broderick Washington who called stunt on the blocked field goal. Washington predicted during the week that they were going to get a block on the call. Shout out to Broderick Washington. But also, there was a man out there at the end of that game playing like every snap. Devontae Freeman.
That was Le'Veon's plays.
I mean, I felt like he actually did, like, yes, they didn't give him the ball very much, but Latavius Murray had the drop early in the game. On Lamar throwing against the grain, the announcers were like, wow, you never do that. And it was literally like, he's wide open and Lamar's like 1 foot outside of the box. Like, he was open, he hit him in the hands and he dropped it. But Devontae Freeman came out and he caught, I want to say a couple of passes. Looking at this, I got to look at the stats. He caught 3 balls, 34 yards, long of 15. Like, he was coming out there and just catching the ball and getting up the field. And I feel like Rushing the ball, he's not it. He really can't do it. He had the play at the goal line. I believe it was in the fourth quarter where he was like, I want this ball, Lamar. Lamar was like, no, and Lamar fell because Freeman ripped the ball so hard. Luckily, no fumble there. But I see Benjamin says Freeman got those hands. And yeah, it feels like that's the thing that the Ravens like about him is he does have hands and he's willing to go out and catch passes.
He made it happen in open space. I'll give y'all that. He made it happen in open space.
It's like once he's upfield, I feel like he's fine. Like he's just like, oh, I'm going. It's when he's behind the line of scrimmage and he gets the ball that it's really difficult for him. So I'm growing on. He's growing on me. Don't love him in the rushing attack, but I do like him in the passing attack. But LJ for MVP. I feel like right now, if you look at the games Lamar Jackson has won, let's look at them. Well, Chiefs. Well, they're down. Lamar Jackson has an amazing game, dubbed one of the biggest games of his career, one of the best games of his career, comes back and wins in primetime.
Yep.
Detroit, 4th and 19. Lamar Jackson completes a massive pass to Sammy Watkins to set up a field goal. Denver, Ravens Lamar played well. Ravens were efficient. Lamar ran the ball decently, led the team in rushing that week. And then you look at this week. 442 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 6 incompletions. Yes, Kyler Murray has been very good. Yes, Justin Herbert's had some big games. But there is no team with a defense playing as bad as the defense have played in so many situations, with as many weapons out.
Yep.
Kyler Murray's going out there. Who's he throwing to? Oh, DeAndre Hopkins? Oh.
Kirk.
And who's going out there getting 5 sacks in a game? Oh, Calais Campbell. Who's swatting passes? J.J. Watt? Very different from old man Justin Houston and then Anthony Averett getting burned on the sides. I mean, I think the narrative right now is Lamar, and I feel like that's going to be replicated or brought up in so many talk shows this week. Is going to be Lamar Jackson is the MVP. I've already bet that Lamar Jackson would win the MVP this season. I felt like it was a really good bet, but he's my guy right now. He's absolutely my guy.
He's definitely putting himself in the conversation for sure. The only thing is, if we keep on stacking wins like this, man, we're gonna get that bye. Things gonna have to come through Baltimore. But we've seen what happens when we have a bye week going into the playoffs. We kind of lost that edge. We kind of lost that motive. I mean, I know it's only week 5. I know it's early to talk about that, but we're currently on a 4-game win streak right now. So I think it needs to be addressed. I mean, I can see us maybe having 2-3 more losses, but I definitely feel the way we're going, we might just end up with top seed.
Do you think right now, are the Ravens the team to beat in the AFC, or is it the Bills?
I would say
the Chargers.
I would say ESPN
or the Chiefs.
ESPN PFF consensus, it would be the Bills. Right now, the most dangerous team to play in the playoffs would have to be us, for the simple fact of how we just came and won these past couple games. If we keep that same mold, that same mentality, continue to build on it, and continue to get some of the pieces back that we have missed, we could be looking at a dangerous team in the playoffs.
Absolutely. And I feel like this team is showing that it's no longer the same team it's been in years past where, just get the lead. They don't throw the ball. That's the strength of this team, is throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, they have Lamar Jackson. They can run the football. That's not the strength. The strength is the deep ball. The strength is extending the field. It's the intermediate routes. Mark Andrews over the middle, Hollywood over the top, Sammy on a crosser. That's what scares defenses now. But they have to play the run. because the run is so much more impactful. If you pound the rock and waste all the clock and tire out the defense, it's more devastating than a 70-yard touchdown pass to Hollywood. Because your defense gets a break, the next drive they can fix that. But when a team like we watched the Colts do tonight runs the ball down your throat all game long, it's very difficult. So you're like, you know what? Let's try and stop the pass. One incompletion. We're set. We can play a little bit off, things like that. You can play it. Play the run against the Ravens, and you're going to get burned. And I feel like that scares a lot of teams. And I feel like in the playoffs, it's going to be very difficult if the Ravens especially have Bateman back. And Lamar and everybody's playing at the same level. And the Ravens can get a man named Ronnie Stanley back. Oh, wait. Are the Ravens missing Nick Boyle?
Maybe a Tyree Phillips as well. Add him to
also Tyree Phillips. Also Chris Westry.
You know? EDC may find a way to make a miraculous trade before, the deadline. Added, a defensive guy. Who knows?
And I see Alex Baldwin says, Owe had another game-changing play. Defensive Rookie of the Year. I agree. And Mike D. Fran says, Owe giving me PTSD. Just some background info. I play as the Ravens against Mike in Madden. I always use her Owe. And I force about 2 red zone fumbles every single time against him. And I get about 2 user picks with Owe. So right when Owe forced that fumble and he was like, oh, no, it's true. Madden's realistic. I see somebody, Benjamin says we need Westry. I feel like Westry is somebody to throw out there when he gets healthy because Averett, yes, he's made some plays, and I don't want to take away from that. But at the same time, how many times have we seen him just targeted all game? I mean, tonight was one of the – I'm going to say it is the second worst cornerback performance I have ever seen. The only worst cornerback performance was Kevin King in the NFC Championship game last year, where he allowed the end of half touchdown to Scotty Miller on the deep ball because he played too far up. Then he had like 2 pass interference calls on third down, and he just got targeted by Brady all game long. It's the only worst one I can think of. I mean, it was every single time. It was they throw the ball, they throw it, Averett.
Listen, I forgot what corner we had, but every time I knew.
We're talking about the Cleveland game?
No, it's not in the Cleveland game. I want to say it was like Corey Graham. It was an old corner.
Is it Brandon Carr?
That one.
Brandon Carr.
Every game. Brandon Carr is on that guy. Oh yeah, they're running a post. Is that post?
I remember Marlon's rookie year. Brandon Carr covered Antonio Brown. And the Steelers needed a game-winning drive. Brandon Carr's on Antonio Brown, and they just threw it up to Antonio Brown, and he got it right by him. It was like Marlon held Antonio Brown for like 1 reception all game long in like 10 snaps. It was like he actually covered him really well. They put Brandon Carr on Antonio Brown, just whoop. I see Lance. Lance, this is kind of facts. Averett reminds me of Marcus Peters because he's out of position a lot, but he doesn't make plays. It's kind of true.
Okay, all right. I give
like
you that.
Marcus Peters makes up for him being out of position by getting interceptions. Like he'll jump some passes, he'll make some big plays. Averett like just doesn't.
And see, that's the thing. I mean, it's like had the big games. You get the presses. You talking in front of the the press. Keep your same energy. This is a Monday night primetime game. You got to continue to show up, my guy. You got to continue to show up.
Absolutely.
I agree with you.
LZU knowledge does not like the comparison.
At first, I didn't either, but I hear what they're saying. I understand it.
Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. Darth Vader. I talked about before the year. This is the Hollywood year. Everybody all of a sudden was like, oh, but they have Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown is a legitimate wide receiver, and he's proving it day in and day out. Yeah, unfortunately, he had some drops against the the Lions. But he was open. He gets open. He cooked a corner's ankles on a double move. And we've talked about the double move with Hollywood Brown. One of the best double moves in the NFL.
Yeah.
He gets open on it. And he was open for some touchdowns. Lamar missed him. He tried to throw it to Mark Andrews. Hollywood was open in the end zone. Hollywood was open in the end zone. Lamar missed Hollywood. Hollywood had to try and dive. Wasn't able to get the reception. But Hollywood is actually proving that he's not just a deep threat. He is a guy that can go out there, catch the intermediate routes, get open, and make big plays. And I love that he was able to cap off. I really wanted a rushing touchdown from Lamar just because I felt like that is the biggest statement, because I felt like it was so much of him, like willing the team, like him getting a rushing touchdown, kind of like the Chiefs when he took the lead with that rushing touchdown. It was like, yes. But him getting that pass touchdown with Marquise, I mean, that's just Marquise showing like, yeah, I'm that guy. And also, Mark Andrews in a big game, in prime time.
Shout out to Mark because he just lost his grandmother like within the week. So, hey, good way to come out there, make your grandmother proud, man. Shout outs.
Did anybody predict that Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown would combine for 20 receptions for 172 yards and 4 touchdowns? I'm sorry, not 100. 272 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Man, listen,
that is ridiculous.
The OU boys put a hurting on Texas. They had to come out and continue representing all over the league.
I'm tweeting this out. I'm sorry. I have to tweet this. For 20 receptions, 272 yards, 4 touchdowns. All right. Colts defense was balling. It was so frustrating. Yeah, the Colts defense played well.
Yeah, that front seven, man. Come on now.
Yeah. I mean, Darius Leonard, like they have guys that can attack the football, and that's the biggest thing.
One of the best linebackers coming out from the HBCU, Winston-Salem State University. Man, I love my HBCUs. I love what they're doing, man. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yes. We still haven't seen Bateman. We still haven't seen Nick Bull. Nick Bull may mess around and start catching the ball. But you know what? Shout out to the weapon.
Yes, the weapon, Josh Oliver, gets into the game trying to tie the game, and in overtime, he starts playing, and he's balling. Yeah, he was catching some passes. 2 receptions, a cool 13 yards. Good job. Good job, Mark.
Hey, I say this, the good thing about the Ravens, they really have that next man up mentality, and a lot of these guys do, when it's their time to get called, they do rise to the occasion.
And I will agree with this, Lance. Lamar does need to cover up the ball better. I think that is being overlooked. He's having fumbling issues. I'm not that worried. Like when he fumbles in the pocket, like those typically aren't as much the quarterback's fault. Like if he's backing up and he gets the arm hit, he gets hit from behind. Like that's the O-line. That's the O-line's fault. But it's when you're running, when you're trying to shift arms, like he almost fumbled again, trying to dive for the pylon. You got to cover that ball up. And that's an issue that he's had when running the football, is covering up the ball. Luckily, Ravens were still able to get away with it, but oh my goodness. Absolutely crazy. Brandon Stevens had 12 tackles.
At least he was throwing his body at people.
He throws his body out there.
You said it, man. You said it.
Devin Duvernay.
Once in a while, but he ain't scared.
Oh yeah,
and shout out to JP too. He's definitely,
when
he gets out there and his numbers getting called, he makes it known.
He had a big time reception. I think it was on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 7.
Yeah.
Ball's a little bit too far out in front of him, I think. Still able to grab it, still able to fall forward, still able to maintain possession of that ball. Very, very good.
It's crazy when we haven't had wide receivers that actually catch the ball with their hands.
This was a game. Was there only one drop in this game? And it was from Latavius Murray?
I think so.
I mean, I'm trying to think of Lamar's incompletions. He missed the throw to Andrews earlier when Andrews had to like dive and he wasn't able to catch it. They ruled it a catch. They called it incomplete. I don't count that as a drop. That would have been an amazing catch. He missed the throw to Hollywood in the end zone. The third one was the drop. He got hit as he threw, and it could have been intercepted when the Ravens were driving down. I mean, that's 4. I don't think anybody else. He may have thrown a ball away. Now I got to see. Another one to Mark Andrews. MMA Ravens, thank you so much for the super chat. It says LJ going to take up 99% of the cap if EDC don't pay this man tomorrow. How much does this game put into contract negotiations?
Definitely 5 years. Definitely 5 years, 300, or at least 6 years, 300, with the 60 million guarantee. In my opinion, y'all seeing that he can actually be a franchise quarterback. Y'all seeing that y'all can build. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna. We possibly could become that New England style of team, where we get decent players with a high profile QB that understands the system, that comes out there and play and do their job. That could possibly be us.
And also, yes, the Sammy Watkins throw was an incompletion. I don't know if that was a drop. I don't know if that was an errant throw. I felt like it was a decent throw. Hit Sammy in the right hand, a little outstretched. Could have been a drop. You could consider that a drop. But let's see here. Yeah, I feel like the Ravens, I mean, these are the types of games where people criticize the Ravens, people criticize Lamar. Oh, they can't win these types of games because he's your quarterback. Winning these types of games shows, hey, I can. I mean, he has a game now where he throws for 400 yards. He has a game where he throws for 350. He's thrown for plenty of touchdowns. But being that efficient and that deadly throwing the football as he was this game shows you that he's going to get a lot of money. And he was going to get a lot of money beforehand, but I agree. Ravens definitely gotta lock that up.
Absolutely, man.
Benjamin says, if Lamar wins the Super Bowl, Eric DeCosta is going to have to rent out the stadium just to pay Lamar. I think they renamed the stadium just after Lamar if he wants it. Just call it LJ Field or something like that.
Oh, man.
Sorry, M&T Bank. We know you have rights reserved, but it's LJ Field now. Presented by M&T Bank Stadium.
Broward County Homes or something.
Yeah. Gotta represent Broward. Alex says, what do you stop? Run or passing? We can win with both. Yeah. If the Ravens are able to recognize, that's the problem. They didn't recognize that they should just throw the ball more this game until very late in the game. If Greg Roman makes those connections early, they're going to win. Like, if they recognize early in this game, hey, let's just run no huddle. Let's up pace, move the ball down the field. They win this game a heck of a lot easier. However, it took them a very long time, which is funny because that's what worked against the Colts last year was the Ravens' up-tempo offense in the second half. The first half, they struggled.
Them boys was wore out.
They didn't look at the scouting report, but
they was tired.
Also, I will say it does help when I live with a Colts fan.
Oh, it makes it so much sweeter then.
Oh, it definitely did.
So much sweeter.
He was giving the dances early in the game. Very excited. Got to see this hope drain from the eyes. El Freaky Field.
Such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing.
L8 Apparel Field. Yes. Big Trust Field. The Jackson Arena.
Yeah. I see what y'all doing here. I like what y'all talking.
Hollywood on pace for 1,553 yards and 17 touchdowns. That's what I'm talking about. He's a number one.
Let us see it, man. Let us see it. I don't remember the last time. I don't even think we ever had a wide receiver that led the league or was up there.
We've never had a Pro Bowl wide receiver. We've definitely never had a receiver lead the league.
So, you know,
I wonder what he's at. Okay, hold on. I want to check right now the NFL leaders for receiving just to see where Hollywood's at. So I got to add Hollywood's numbers. So coming into this game, Hollywood. Oh, I don't want to look at receptions. Look at yards. Come on. What is this? Hollywood was at 326.
mm-hmm.
So he's at about 450. He's right with Jamar Chase at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's right around 7th, 8th in the NFL in receiving yards, I believe.
Okay.
But in receiving touchdowns, he's tied for number 2. Because I'm assuming he has 5. Because the Ravens are 4-1. He's on pace for 17 touchdowns. Would assume he's at 5. But he's balling right now. He is absolutely balling.
And it's going to get even crazier when Rashad get out there on the field.
Yeah.
It's just another weapon that they got to respect.
I feel, I don't think it's going to hurt Hollywood. I think it's going to help him. I think that it's going to be, oh no, we can't double Hollywood as much. And we're already seeing it. We've talked about it before the year. Mm-hmm. Everybody has to just put a safety over top at all times against Hollywood because he's going to run by you. But all of a sudden, Sammy Watkins gets here, and we're seeing the impact it has on Hollywood because they got to cover Sammy. Sammy's good.
Yeah.
He's not as good as Hollywood, but Bateman now is just going to add in even more.
But we talked about it too. Like the simple fact that Sammy Watkins took that initiative, went out there with the guys out in Arizona. You know, I'm pretty sure he was the main one put in the air talking about, least trusting G-Roll. I had such and such amount of yards when, I was with Buffalo, XYZ. You can do the same thing in this type of offense. You got to trust and believe. And then, they already had that connection with T and Keith, as soon as they asked Marquise about how he feel about those guys. Marquise lit up like a little boy on Christmas. So it's definitely good to see this wide receiver room happy. It's good to see that the Ravens are now having a passing game. Not saying that we never did, but something that's more fluent.
Absolutely. I feel like we can get one more question in before we end the stream. I see Benjamin says 6 months ago people were calling him a bust. Yeah. People were calling him a bust after the Detroit game, and we talked about it. He's open. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, sure, he's dropped some passes. He still has good hands. Like we saw it against Denver. Like, yeah, he had a rough day, but he has the ability. If you have the ability to get that open, that's what matters. That's what separates you from just the normal deep threats. The John Rosses of the NFL are separated because he's just speed.
Yeah.
The Marquise Goodwin is just speed. Hollywood is elite speed along with very good route running and very good feel for the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I wish Booger McFarland wasn't at this game. Yeah, I heard him talking during halftime. I said, "Damn, what is Booger doing in the NFL?" I thought they dropped him down to college.
Oh yeah. All right. I feel like that's going to do it for tonight's stream. Thank you everybody for coming in. Shout out to Lamar. Not shout out to Tavon Young. Not shout out to Anthony Averett. Shout out to Calais Campbell. Shout out to Adafe Owe. Shout out to Hollywood Brown. Shout out to Mark Andrews. Shout out to Josh Oliver, the weapon, for just coming in, playing some decent football. And thank you everybody for coming in. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. We'll see all of you again next time.